Hello, everybody. Welcome to the television edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed. Very happy to have you all with us today or tonight, whenever you're watching the show. Of course, we're live on Wednesdays, and then replays a bunch of times in the evening. And I've been getting a lot of feedback lately that a lot of people are watching the replays because a lot of people are at work at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday. But regardless, very, very glad to have you with us, whether you're watching us on MPTS or on IPMNation.com. And we do have with us now one of the gentlemen, maybe a familiar face to some of you if you also watch Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades, because he's been on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades quite a few times, Mr. Gus Breton.
Hey, Matt.
And Gus, I think of you as kind of the John Goodman of Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades, and John Heichel actually as the Alec Baldwin, because, you know, it's kind of the SNL thing. You know, Alec Baldwin has been on SNL more times than anybody, and I think John Goodman's number two. So, and of course, we were talking off air before the show started. I couldn't remember if you'd ever, because I get the shows mixed up. I've had so many guests. I couldn't remember if you'd been on this show before, and this is your first time on this show specifically.
Yes,
so,
it is.
So welcome.
Thank you.
And Gus brought with him a great guest who I'm really interested to talk to. Has a very interesting story. Carl Lent. How are you, Carl?
Oh, it's doing fine.
Welcome to the. Actually, you can pull that mic right up front if you want to pull it to the edge. I just want to make sure everybody can hear you.
Yeah, it's called Lentz.
Oh, Lentz, plural.
Yeah, L-E-N-T-Z.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and I think Buck Henry was the most guest on SNL ever.
Buck Henry?
Buck Henry. But you could Google it, see if I'm wrong.
Okay.
That's in the 70s. You might not be that old.
Did he? I know who he is. I can almost sort of picture him.
Little guy, glasses.
Yeah,
He always played like a child molester on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh, okay.
He's a good guy. Good guy. Buck Henry.
Well, Carl, now I don't know too much about your story. I talked to John Heichel earlier, the most honorable John Heichel, and he kind of told me a little bit. But what I'd like to do is kind of let you tell your story, and you know, if I have and I'm sure I will, Gus and I probably both will have plenty of questions, and we can kind of interrupt along the way. But John did tell me about you know, you were in a situation where you had to get one of your kids back, and you.
Oh, yeah.
And something to do with common law. You kind of went about it a different way than most folks do, and but I really don't know too much. So why don't you kind of just start at the beginning, or?
All right, I guess I'll do the beginning real quick.
Sure.
My child was born in 2001. He had Downs. Well, he has Downs. It's,
Okay.
You know, doesn't go away with a penicillin shot.
Sure.
And the government wanted me to sign all kinds of, you know, forms, Medicaid forms, Social Security forms, to get him financial aid.
Sure.
Pay us to, you know, take care of him and everything. I said, we don't require anything of the government, and when we need your assistance, we'll let you know. And they were like,
Okay. So just to be clear, were they insisting that you fill this stuff out even if you didn't need their help? Or?
Yeah, well, it was. He only weighed 2 pounds 9 ounces, and they knew it was going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills for the state of Alabama, the University of Alabama he was born in. So they wanted to make sure they were going to get their bills paid.
Gotcha.
And the feds would kick back and cover them.
Okay.
I said, look, you just tender me the bill, and I'll handle the bill.
Yeah.
So I got this. I don't require anything of the government to handle my bills. And they said, how are you going to pay for it? How much money you make? And I said, it's really none of your business. I said, you just give me the bill when it's day of discharge, and I'll make sure it's covered.
We all know the government doesn't like to be told it's none of their business.
Well, it's not so much it is. It's wanted to make sure they're going to get paid. Basically,
Right.
They said, look, if you ain't got the money, don't worry about it. The feds will cover everything, every single thing. He's disabled, Disability Act. He'll be covered for the rest of his life. They'll even slide you a check. It's like, I don't require anything from my government, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I said, when I need help, I'll let you know. I'll take care of family. Will come first, and my community will help me. Folks got a Jehovah's Witness church on their property. It's full of Mennonites where I live in Virginia. We got this covered.
Yeah.
So just in case, you know, we need the government's benefits, thank you. But at this time, we don't require such assistance.
Sure.
So they said to us, well, if you don't sign this paperwork, you know, the child won't be discharged to you. I said, are you threatening me? And they said, well, we have to make sure the child is going to be provided for. I said, ma'am, when the day the doctor discharged that child from the hospital, we will pick it up and we will go home.
Right.
They said, not if you don't sign this paperwork. I said, oh, really? I said, so you're trying to tell me that you're going to take my property, you know, without my consent? And they were like, property? And it was like, I said, social workers, they're young girls, you know, probably got associate's degrees, you know. A nice black lady, nice white lady. And they said, oh, property? You just call your child property. I said, of course he's property. What else would I define him as?
Right.
And I said, hey, the mother of the child was at the end of the table. Say, woman, am I you're my property? She said, absolutely. And we were like, I said to the woman, I said, am I on your property? She said, you're damn right you are.
Yeah.
I said, women, what's property? And I said, well, property is like what? I said, no, slave is not property. Slave would be like a tangible asset. I said, property is that which is proper to a man and woman who's could use and is exclusive to all others within a society.
Sure.
Now, we have an agreement that she's exclusive to me, and I have an agreement with her that I'm exclusive to her. And she can enjoy me, and nobody else within society has that right to do so. Same thing with that child in that other room.
Right.
He is my property and her property. Nobody else is allowed to use it or enjoy it within a society. Are you making a claim that you have a vested interest in that property? Did you put any money into it before, that you could claim it as yours? And they were like, we have no idea what you're talking about, but
right. I was going to say, I assume this is the first time they had ever been presented with.
Oh yeah, because I was
these
doing
questions.
fiber optics and satellites there. I was working around the country doing military bases.
Yeah.
So I had all kinds of security clearances. I knew exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it was very simple what I was doing with these poor women, and I just realized they had no clue. I said, are you here in a government capacity? Are you here in official capacity? She said, yes. Are you making an offer to me? And they were like, yes. I said, do you understand under the Medicaid and Social Security Act, that's illegal under 472 and 672. My mom was a federal agent for almost 30 years.
Oh, okay.
I said, so you realize under 472 or 672 in the Medicaid Act, subsection F, the government cannot propose an offer to take a child from a family. We have to come to you. You can't knock on our door and say, we got a great benefit, we'd like to take your kid, and this is what we'll give you.
Interesting.
I said, you can't do that, ma'am. I said, it's illegal. We have to come to you. And people don't understand this. When you sign I'd say 99% of the kids that are taken by a consent decree based upon safety plan, they call them in most states. And I found a code for folks. It's on the website. And it says that the parents wish at any time to rescind the contract with the state, the children will be placed back with the parents immediately.
Okay.
And nobody in the state is supposed to tender this safety plan without any trepidations or any fear of returning the children back to the parents immediately. If you're afraid to turn the children back to the parents immediately, proceed with criminal charges.
Is that federal law or is that state law within?
It's the one I found was in Alabama. It was under the foster care placement under the 660 Title Act for placement for foster care.
Okay.
And I don't know the exact one. I know it's 660 code, and I put it on the website where it clearly says, do not offer parents a placement agreement, a consent decree, or a safety plan option if there's any hesitation with returning the children back to the parents immediately. For if the parents wish the restoration of their property, it must commence immediately.
Matt, we've talked a lot about this kind of stuff. Federal funding usually supports these kinds of laws, so chances are this is a uniform code which would apply to all the states because they all get the federal funding. So I'd be willing to bet we've got a similar thing here.
Okay, it makes sense, yeah.
Well, on my radio show, I do a radio show on Saturday night, and there's a 43-minute clip I took out in September. And there was a lady, nice Mexican lady. She was 28 years old. She was driving down the road with her brother in a pickup truck. Her baby fell out of the car seat because she was drunk. She got arrested, and they pulled over to the side of the road. They pulled in the police department. The brother said, get her out of my car and take her kid with you. So obviously they wanted all kinds of AA classes for the lady. She still had criminal charges of fighting with the police and the public. And all she had to do was, I said to the lady, thank God she really didn't know anything about law. So I said, just 2 sentences, you need to bring it to the court. It says, I require the immediate restoration of my property, and I require you to restore property immediately. So funny, you're listening to my show, her husband calls in, and this is the second couple I helped. The people I just came from in Canada, where was I?
St. John's, New Brunswick.
But it was past there a little bit.
Oh, Hampton.
Salt Springs, I think it was Salt Springs.
Okay.
Hampton area, right. So I just came back from a couple that I helped get their kids back, so their kids call me Uncle Carl now and all this stuff with 2 sentences. 2 sentences.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. And that's exactly how it worked with this lady as well. So it was funny that in New Mexico, the Attorney General for the state said, oh, this is the lady's whole defense. Ha, ha, ha. I require the restoration of property. Ours are all the property. See Exhibit A. Don't give the kid's name. Just say Exhibit A, put a picture.
Okay.
I said, I order the immediate restoration of property. And I'm going to charge $1 a second for every second that you hold the property, in naked possession. So it comes out to $80,400 a day. So what was funny is the judge said to her, do you understand the seriousness of why we took the child is in state custody? It's like, yeah, drunk, like whatever. He said, don't you want to do what's in the best interest of your child? She says, look, I want the restoration of my property, and I want it now. Mm-hmm. So the state said, yeah, look at this silly defense. And the state read it onto the record. And then the judge asked the lady, are you going to charge us $1 a second? She said, absolutely. And the judge looked at the attorney general, said restore her property immediately.
No kidding.
No kidding. The husband's on you listen to my show, it's only 43 minutes. I cut that little segment out.
Yeah.
And it says, in the AGO, the attorney general's office said, sir, are you serious? He says, you know the law, restore property. It was since civilization began, governments were created to secure and protect the property of man. That's all they do. That's mission statement 1. So I don't care if you're on Gilligan's Island. I don't care if we're in woods somewhere. We're going to assign certain duties to people, and people are going to subscribe to, say we're going to agree to do certain things, certain roles. And all we basically getting together for is to protect and secure each other's property from a hostile invader.
Sure.
That's all we do. That's all governments do. So the judges know this. So if you say I require you to restore my property, immediately he has no choice because you made a claim for your property.
Now, do you know of anyone ever doing this where it didn't work?
Well, what was funny, let me finish up with that lady.
Oh, sure.
The husband came on and said, and serenity was restored. And I said, I don't care about peace, tranquility, or serenity. I want to know where the hell the kid is.
Right.
And she said, well, serenity was restored. I said, sir, I ain't got time for this. I do a radio show. Can you please tell me what happened to the kid? He says, I said, Serenity's her name. You couldn't name her Maria or Mary? I said, no. He's like, oh, your kid's back? Great. Next caller.
Right.
So like I said, this stuff is so routine for me. It's just like, yep, okay, great. Next caller.
Yeah.
But to other people, like, wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing what? You just require your property, the restoration to commence immediately. What's the big deal?
Yep.
It's not rocket science. This stuff's so simple, it's scary.
Right. But some people are going to hear this and say, well, it sounds so simple.
Yeah.
It almost sounds too good to be true. Do you know of anyone using this where
I don't know. Like I said, it was funny. I do a radio show, and it's a live mic. I have a farm in Virginia. So what's funny is I put my phone in my pocket, and I walk around my farm. It's a live mic. And people call me up all the time, and they ask me questions, and they come back the next week or two, and they say what worked or what didn't work.
Okay.
That's how I got flown over to England to help some Punjabi man, because he was charged with, he told me he was charged with harassment, him and a couple other Punjabis. But when I got there and I sat in court, he was charged with harassment, communicating threats,
Paper terrorism.
Terrorism, putting forged commercial paper into the public through a trust, and it was one more, stalking.
Okay.
So I said to them, when were you going to tell me this? They said, well, if we told you and you were in America, you probably wouldn't come over to help. I said, yeah, you're right. That makes a lot of sense. Thanks, people. So what was funny is, to me, it lasted 2.5, 3 hours, and I thought that was a massive amount of time. Most people say this stuff would last weeks. And I just said, they read out the charges, and I said, okay, everything the Crown said that they did was illegal. They're guilty as charged. But where's the wrong? This is still a common law nation, is it not? Is this not England? Yes, so where's the wrong? So the barrister put on a hell of a performance. He had a wig on, he had solicitors behind him. They put on a hell of a show.
You gotta love the wigs.
Oh, yeah, they put on a hell of a show. So it was so funny. For the first when the ruling came out around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the judge read a 45-minute ruling. And the first 42 minutes is like first charge, guilty, da-da-da-da-da. Second charge, da-da, guilty, da-da-da-da-da. Third charge. And the Punjabis are looking at me. He's like, where are we going with this? I said, just watch. And the judge says, now, for the common law side, this was the most bombastic, idiotic. I just started laughing. I said, Polly said, if he says idiot, we're going home. I said, absolutely, you're going home. Because idiot, if you know Greek or you know Latin, most of the courts run with Roman law. An idiot just means a common man, a man not of that society, a layperson, somebody who's not skilled in a profession or a trade, as a lawyer or a writer or an attorney. So I said to the judge, when my closing statement, they are idiots. I said, luckily for me, their skin color proves that they are not of your society and they have different cultural backgrounds and beliefs. Where they come from, this is number one. This is good sport. Where you come from, that's dirty pool. I said, so they're clearly idiots, are they not? So the judge said, well, we'll make the ruling. As soon as he said idiot, Bolly said, we're going home. I said, yeah, we're going home, and I'm going to be a rock star. I said, we're going home. And then I went on a Brian Garrish show. Oh, yeah, so people recognize the Brian Garrish tie. This is Brian's tie, and Brian signed it.
He signed it, yeah.
Yeah, he signed it. It was a pretty funny story how he signed it. Because when he got done with the interview, he asked me, he says, by any chances, is that my tie around your neck? And I said, you're lucky I don't sue you for strangulation. I walked past your office and jumped and choked me. I said, I couldn't get it off, and I had to come do this interview. What am I going to do? So he says, you want me to sign it? I said, he says, do you want to keep it? I said, only if you sign it. So he walked out like a nice, quiet, elderly man.
Yeah.
And when we left, Bali said, the Punjabi man said, what did you do in that interview? Because he was up doing a radio interview.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. He said, Brian ran at this, said, where the hell did you find this guy? I've been doing this for like ever, and I never heard nobody like that. You got to get him back here. Give me a freaking pen. So, but it was funny when he walked back in the studio. He was like, "Yes, let me see that tie now."
Yeah.
I said he was happy. The interview. He says, "Oh man, this guy loves you." I said, really? I said, "Okay." So I don't know if you ever watched the Brian Guerra show, UK Column.
I've heard the name, but I don't think I've.
Yeah, it kind of was. I said to him, I can't do it I can't do Skype, and I'm not going to do radio because I heard that you do Illuminati and Planet Xenon.
Okay,
I said, I don't do that stuff, sir. And if you start pulling me in this direction, I'm going to bring you right back to what I do. I said, I'm not going to beat on Barack Obama. I'm not going to beat on the Pope. I'm not going there. I'm just going to tell people how to get in and out of court, how to get the restoration of their property, and how to be done in 2 sentences or less.
So how did you learn this? I mean, obviously you had your own experience, but...
Well, what happened in 2005, I was writing some statutory stuff, and when I got to court, and they amended the statutes on January 1st, so when I got there in March, everybody was laughing at me because I was relying upon their code. And they just laughed, and they said, you know, what you're relying upon doesn't even exist anymore, and what you are relying upon is something about like a Vietnam vet having venereal disease and what? You know. So I went back home and I looked at the book, and they changed all the code because they knew they could change the code on the fly, and there's nothing you could do about it.
Sure.
So I said, never again. I'm never going to rely upon their code. So what I did is I just basically went to a law library, and luckily the people who worked at the law library really knew me, and they were really good people. It was Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, where I live.
Okay.
So I spent 3 years. I wrote a dictionary. So I'm serious with this.
Yeah.
My beard grew really long. My nails got really long. I was in the library like a troll in the library. I knew every freaking thing.
Wow.
So I just studied like you have no idea. And I started with ancient stuff like, say, caveman. And I slowly came up, and I basically stopped at Blackstone's commentary around 1790s. There's no reason to go any further.
Huh.
And I said, it's all there. It's all for man. It's right there. I got this. I said, restoration of property. I see the pattern. Governments exist throughout all time. They get together. Man helps their fellow man to secure and protect others' property, which rights are part of your subset of your property.
So you haven't been to law school or anything?
I've been in law school longer than most of the professors been in law school.
Really?
in the law library.
Yeah.
Oh,
Have you thought about becoming a lawyer?
If I was a lawyer, I'd have to hold a duty and oath to abide by their codes, by their rules, and I couldn't assist man.
Gotcha.
So what's funny is I did do the bar exam, and it's funny. If you ever look at the bar exam, the first part is multiple choice, like A, B, C, D. A is like cup of coffee. B is like microphone. C is the common law answer, and D is the legalese answer. So you look at it, it's like, that is perfectly correct, and this is perfectly correct, but they're completely opposite. So it's like I say to people, I show people my watch all the time, and I tell people, you know how to read a watch, you're a big boy, tell me what time that is.
Right, that says 1:40.
Look at your clock, and then I'll look at the watch.
Oh. Yeah, you're right.
It's completely opposite, it works completely backwards, but they're both correct.
Yeah.
Same thing with legalese and common law.
Yeah.
They both work.
Yeah.
They're both completely opposite, but they both work.
Yeah.
It depends. You want to go this way or do you want to go this way?
So what is common law? Because, and we were kind of talking about this briefly before the show, people don't know what that is or the difference between that and legalese. Most people probably have no clue.
Well, let's do a simple example I use with people on my show all the time. Let's do Eskimos. Say they've been around for 10,000 years, right? Where do they write their law? On a snowball, on the side of their igloo, on an ice cube? Where do they write their law?
They don't.
It's the common belief that's held within the people in a certain period of time on planet Earth, within that district and where they live, they exist. That's common law. It's the beliefs of the people. Like when I came through customs yesterday, the police, the really nice custom agents, Nice custom guys.
They were.
They were very nice,
Really
young,
great.
good kids.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For real?
Kids,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were being sarcastic.
No. Good kids. Good kids.
Good sense of humor.
The thumbs up has become such an ironic symbol in our culture that I.
So they were asking me, do I believe there's that much money there? I said, what do you believe? They said, no, what do you believe? Because, see, a man could be held liable for his beliefs. So I'm saying, what do you believe is there? And he said, do you have United States money? I said, why would I possess the United States money? Why wouldn't I just possess my money? And it's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, you said to have United States money. Why don't you ask me if I have Susie's and Bob's and Bill's money? Wouldn't that be wrong for me to possess somebody else's money? Well, I possess my money. That's my money. As well, how much you believe is there? You tell me. What do you believe you see there? So it's lots of fun.
How long did this go on?
Just over an hour.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, we had a lot of good time. The Border Patrol guys are great. Peace, guys. Hey, I'm coming over many times. I seen them kept going F3 on a computer, reading my screen. They went to my webpage. They said to me, what's the word of the month? I said, capitalize, because it's my webpage.
Okay.
I do word of the month in my dictionary, word of the month. I said, capitalize. I said, when we talk about medius maximus minimus, you want me to explain to you what capitalize means in Roman law? And he's like, no, I'm just checking. I said, scroll to the bottom. You'll see my farm in Virginia where all the cows are on the top of the ridge, and you'll see about 70 cats walking up the hill behind me. I said, that's my farm, Virginia.
Yeah.
So it was so funny. The good kids, we had a good time with the
Wow.
Border Patrol.
Yeah.
So they must have wrote a lot of good notes because I was invited to the U.S. Marshals last January, and we had a really good time with the Marshal Service because they were trying to figure out what in the world I was doing.
Really?
And when they said to me, sir, he says, if you could help us stop having to foreclose on little old ladies and kick them out of their homes from these banks, we'd really appreciate it because that part of our job we really hate.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
So the U.S. Marshals are even telling me they hate that part of their job.
Yeah.
So they said, if you could figure out a way to help these, I said, right now I'm just trying to help people get their children back. They said, but if you could, I said, sir, I'm trying to cover everything I can as fast as I can.
You're only one person.
Right, so I'm going around teaching everybody
Yeah.
this as fast as I can. And honestly, when you say common law, even traffic court would be considered common law, or tax court would be considered common law. It's the beliefs of that people within that jurisdiction, under that in that venue at that particular moment in time. Mm-hmm. If you believe in your society that you have to have a piece of plastic, that's what your common beliefs are.
Yeah.
If you're an Eskimo, maybe you carry a snowball in your back pocket to identify you. I don't know. It's whatever your common beliefs are.
Yeah.
But it's always funny when you could just mess with people like I do with this watch.
Right.
I always tell people when I go do a seminar, I said, j'ai bichon vautois, de conduire. I just came from Quebec. And I remember said, give me a driver's license. Let me see your driver's license. So they pull out the driver's license. The first thing the cop asks you, is this you? And what would you say?
Well, yes.
You're a 3x4 piece of plastic?
Well, as far as the government's concerned, I suppose in that.
A man is asking you the question.
Right.
If I ask you, are you this? Are you this?
No.
Of course not. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Of course I'm not a piece of plastic.
But so if you get pulled over, is that what you do? You say no?
You could start laughing and joking. No, what I do.
Because you drive off with a ticket if you do that, I would assume.
It just makes them understand. See, they're trained. They're trained
Right.
at the academy because when I got stopped not too long ago when I came back to the United States, I was driving my sister's van and the tag was expired. The license plate was expired.
Oh.
And I said to the young kid, good kid, state trooper, I'm sure his mama loves him. He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
And I said, I shall get it registered. He said, well, I shall return. I said, okay. He gave me back the citation anyway. I said, sir, do you understand what the word shall means? He says, yeah, they explained to us that in the Virginia Code, every single code starts all drivers shall, not speed. All drivers shall have a license. All drivers shall have a registration. I said, you do know what that word means, right? He said, yeah, it's future tense word. He said, that's right. We've already been warned about that none of you people are doing anything wrong. But they still tell us to give out tickets anyway. I said, so sometime in the future I shall have a driver's license, but it's not required of me now, is it? No. I said, so this is systemic and they teach you this at the academy, right?
Interesting.
He said, yes. I said, well, there you go. I said, I'll see you in court, sir. I said, have a beautiful day and stay safe and get home safe to your mama.
Yeah.
So I love dealing with cops. I really, my favorite uncle is a cop, so believe me, I have a good time with these guys.
Wow.
So no, you're not a piece of plastic.
Right.
When they talk to you in any kind of two-dimensional court, they pick up a piece of paper and say, is this you? Again, are you 8.5 by 11? Of course not.
Right.
I didn't write that piece of paper. Do you write that paper? No. You going to stand behind that piece of paper and support that in court? No. Well, sir, I'm not an 8.5 by 11. I wish I was sometimes, but
Right.
I could lose some pounds, but I'm not.
So how many people have you helped? How many families have you helped? Do you even know? It sounds like a lot. So
I have no idea.
Probably hard to even put a number on it.
Personally helping people day in and day out, but
Yeah.
the recordings are all on TalkShoe, and people can access those. And who knows how many people have listened to those? I've learned a lot of great stuff.
One of the
Really?
best letters.
No,
What I
absolutely.
love is when people handwrite me letters, and it was so funny. I have a dad in Colorado, and I said on my last show I got a stain on his daughter's letter. Please send me another. But what's funny is he said that he's teaching his children not to file complaints, to make claims, because a man makes a claim, and a plaintiff makes a complaint, and a plaintiff is French for a nagging old hag.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's without the two F's. Plaintiff is. So you tell a Frenchman he's a plaintiff, he'll laugh. Oh, I'm no plaintiff. You'd say it again, he'll knock you out. He's not a wretched old nagging hag. So I'm not a plaintiff. When I go to court, I'm making a claim. I'm a claimant.
Okay.
So it's so funny. I got a letter from him, and his daughter said on a paper she filed a claim that she believed that she was interfering with her right to access the television, because until 9 o'clock she was allowed to watch TV, and he started watching a hockey game or something.
Yeah.
So she filed a claim against him for interfering with his rights.
Yeah.
Her rights. So it's like, holy cow, this is great. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, what I'm glad about when I go to seminars, especially in England, I start at the back of the forum where I'm at, and I start introducing myself. So I don't tell them who I am, but I start asking, where are you from? Who are you? What would you like to hear this guy talk about?
Sure.
And I just come back, throw it to the crowd, and I eventually take the stage.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny how I do that stuff. And what's great about my crowd is, like, I'll have Hindis, Indians, I'll have blacks, Jamaicans, and I'll have white people. And I don't have just like all like the skinhead group or this Freeman stuff. I look at the crowd, and there's kids in the crowd, there's teenagers, there's everybody's like, holy cow, you people really digging what I'm, picking up what I'm putting down? You guys really scooping what I'm pooping? And I said, you guys really understand what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And they're like, we kind of do. So it's so simple that we don't believe it.
Right.
So that's why I have an open mic, and people call up and they could curse. Like some guy tried to really bash. I said, look, try to bash me, guys, please. And so one guy tried to bash me, and it was great fun. And I said, look, I'm looking for somebody who could bash me and take the crown and run with this, and I'm going to go back to Virginia and stay on my farm, and you run this show. Because Bali's doing it. Balraj is his name. He's a Punjabi. He's doing a great job in England. He spent 5 weeks with me, and I get maybe 2 emails a week now coming from them.
Yeah.
Instead of hundreds and thousands, he's taking care of them. So this is great that this is spreading. And then I'm supposed to go to Australia next, and then Bali wants to take me to India and try to get this working in India. I just did coast to coast with Canada. I started Vancouver.
Wow.
Calgary, Vulcan, Regina, Estevan, Toronto, Quebec City, Montreal. Then I came out to New Brunswick, and now
So you've done Canada.
Came back to the States last night.
Manchester.
Okay.
5 weeks.
And you've been to England. Where else have you been thus far?
Well, in England, I did 5 weeks.
Did you?
Yeah. Liverpool. I did at Manchester, Birmingham. I did the whole. I went down to Plymouth, where Brian Garish was. So I've been all over. And people, I show up. People, they hand me. It's funny. They don't hand me paper to sign like a rock star. They ask me, "Can you solve my problem?" I said, "What's your problem?" And I did that to some nice lady, and she sat in the front row for 2 shows with her son. And she finally got to me. She said, "Can you?" I got a whatever it was, mortgage problem, credit card, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I said to her, "Give me something to write on." She gave me a napkin. I just wrote, "Send that in. You'll be done." And she looked at me like, pfft, and then she got drifted into the crowd, disappeared.
Yeah.
So Balraj said to me, she tried 2 more styles, and then she did that one little letter thing that I wrote to her, and she said they accepted it, and now she can move out of England, not worrying about debt following her. I said, well, there you go. I said, this stuff is simple. 2-3 sentences, tops, you're done.
Yeah.
And it does. It sounds too simple.
There's no billable hours.
Right.
That's why I say to people, I said, I can't understand, because somebody like me tries to say to people, I don't know how I can make money doing this because it's too simple.
Yeah.
There's no billable hours.
Right.
There's no manifestos. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's 2-3 sentences, done.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's it.
But you
that's
obviously love helping people. And
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I honestly, I'm a very private guy. The U.S. Marshals, when they looked for me last year, they could not find me, so they had to go to my sister's classroom, which was really embarrassing to my sister. And they had to go in there 2-3 days trying to get her to tell me to come in now. And I said, look, I got a farm.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be there in 2-3 days. Yeah, I'll close up the farm. You guys back off. I'll be there. I'll give you my word.
They actually went to her to get to you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
Wow.
I'm a very quiet guy. Like I
Yeah.
said, sometimes I don't talk for weeks at a time, especially when I was doing that dictionary. When somebody talked to me, I'd have to go A, B, C, D, try to get my vocal cords going again. So I'm not this kind of guy that likes
Wow.
going out into the public.
Yeah.
I live a very secluded lifestyle on the end of a dirt road, and it's very nice.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
it's so funny. Some sheriff's department down there in Rockbridge County pulled up to the house one day, and me and my sister were there. It's like, yeah, you're probably wondering who this crazy guy is doing in this house. You probably think I'm doing crystal meth or pot or something, huh? I said, me and my sister were on the front gate. I said, why don't you take a walk in the house and take a look, see what you got going on in there? So he's like, you don't mind? Nah, go ahead. So he walked in the front door. About 2 minutes later, he walked out the side door. He went right past us, right back to his car. See everything you need to see in there, sir. You sure you don't want to ask me a question? No, sir. I said, anytime you folks need a hand, let me know. I'm bump here. You know where I'm at. What he saw was law books.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Law books stacked to the ceiling.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
he's like, I am not, again, I know what this guy's, I'm not, oh no. He's like, I'm not going around with this guy. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do no drugs. That's why I have no problem saying just walk in the house, take a look.
So what is it about you that made you, when you had your own situation that you had to solve?
Yeah.
Because most people wouldn't do what
Yes.
you did. Most people would just, accept whatever the system deals them. What is there something about how you were raised or something in your
Oh, yeah.
background that made you say, no, I'm going to figure this out?
Well, I loved old books, like old mythology books and stuff like that. And just like, if you ever read like Odysseus, no matter how far he was going to home, he'd always have another invention, throw him back across the other side of the planet, come back.
Sure.
And what happened at the end, if you remember with Odysseus, the kings and the princes that were trying to take his world from him and his wife, he had no mercy. He says, you tried to destroy my world, and payback's, is coming.
Yeah.
So he destroyed everybody. So it's like, you destroyed my world. You stole my child. I gave them fair warning. I said, a man only lives for his children. If he doesn't have children, what was his purpose of being here? That's my belief.
Yeah.
To procreate and to create good people to put out there in society and to aid others. So if if I'm not allowed to do that, and you're interfering my right to do that, I'm going to do everything I can to stop you people from ever thinking about doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found where my child was being held in some single-wide mobile home, and there was like 5 or 6 other Downs babies in there,
Wow.
I was able to get him out, but what about all those others? So then I was like, I can't leave them behind. And I've always had that mentality, like, you can't leave somebody behind.
Yeah.
You got to get, and you got to get. You got to do it or die trying. And I said, violence isn't going to get it because there's 10 million of them, one of me. I'm going to run out of bullets eventually.
Right.
So how are they doing this? They're doing this with paper and pen.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I beat them with their own words? So if you ever watched or ever read The Merchant of Venice, you see how they got the Shylock with his own words.
Yeah.
They used his own words against him.
Yeah.
He could take a pound of flesh, but the contract did not express that he was allowed to take 1 drop of blood. So go ahead and take your pound of flesh, but heaven help you if you spill 1 drop of blood, because in that contract it has to be expressed, not implied.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that you folks do is that you use synonyms when you go to court. Instead of using the word request, instead of using the word require, you use request. Now, make believe when you go to court, and how I do everything in 2-3 sentences, it's like a crossword puzzle.
Okay.
If the word require belongs in there, it's require. Don't try to squeeze in request, because you don't get points in crossword puzzle for being close. There's no synonyms.
Yeah.
It's deadly accurate. Each word means a certain thing.
Well, that makes sense because a request, they can deny your request, but if you say I require.
Require means by right and authority.
Yeah.
So they don't have, the governments have authority. They could request things, but they don't have rights.
Okay.
Only man has rights. So, like I said, governments have duties, responsibilities, and obligations in which they are ascribed to, which
Yeah.
they form a little compact or a contract or a constitution, in which they all agree to abide by a certain set of rules. Man is dynamic, fluid, and he can come and go as he pleases. He could jump into the second dimension and be a citizen, or he could jump out and be an idiot, a private person.
Right.
So I used to mess with people on their shows. I used to say, sir, you're talking to an idiot. It's like, yeah, you sound like an idiot. I said, I'm damn proud of it. So when you Google it, you could go to etymolline.com. It's like ETYOLINE.com. Google idiot. And don't use the 20th century version of idiot, the 19th century, 18th century. Go back to the source. Go back to Sanskrit, or go back to Greek, or go back to Latin. Go back to the root of the word and see how the legal society twisted it. Because I could ask you a simple question like this. Say I'm a judge, and I come into court. Oh, I got two friends who are judges, so that kind of helps too. Say I come to court, and I said, I got a cup of coffee. I said, man, I don't want to deal with nobody today. I say in court, does anybody want to argue with me? Is there any arguments before this court today? I say, State, are you ready with your cases? Yes, I'm ready. Is there anybody here to argue? Does anybody want to argue today? Just come forward and just make an argument. My head is killing me. My wife drove me nuts. Is there anybody want to argue today? No, good. Then everything goes to the state, because the argument means to shine through, to make transparent, to make clear, to state your side. Yeah. If you don't want to state your side, if you don't want to bring your forth, if you don't want to shine through, make white, make transparent, good. I'm going to have a nice, quiet day.
Right.
Nobody's here to argue with this. Is anybody here to argue with the state today? No. Good. I'm going to go get another cup of coffee. This one's getting cold. So they could run through you people like lightning, because you don't understand, because you were taught when you were a little kid, don't argue with me.
Right, exactly.
If you argue, you're going to get your hand hit or slapped around. So it's beaten into you not to argue.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Or if, say, you were beaten by 5 cops, right? And if I was a judge, I'd do it real simple. I'd say, are you telling me that you suffered by the acts of these police officers? What would you say?
Yes.
Oh, good. Next case. And you'd call me every name in the book.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the word suffer means.
Right.
That you had the ability to do something about it, but you chose not to. So you laid there by consent, and you chose to take it.
Wow.
Suffrage.
Okay.
But you decided,
that makes sense.
Right? So I could do, like I said, my buddy became a judge. It was funny, and he said we'd like to eat barbecue like on Thursdays, and we'd meet up and eat barbecue in Alabama, Birmingham, while I was trying to get my kid out, because they would never give me the case file. So it was a lot of fun trying to figure out how to get a copy of the contract. When they finally gave me the copy of the contract that they said the case was relying upon, it had an 80-year-old woman's name on it, a 40-something-year-old uncle's name on it, and a 3-year-old girl living in an apartment. It had nothing to do with the Downs baby, so it's just flagrant. It was such a forged entrant, it wasn't even funny. So when I brought it to their attention, they said, what's it going to take to settle, Mr. Lentz? You know, we can indemnify it up to $1.2 million. And my sister was sitting in the truck next to me. She said, take the money. I said, shut up. I said, I got this. I said, sir, when I know what I'm entitled to, I'll let you know. So I said to my sister, I said, there's got to be a bigger purpose why this all happened. I said, I am not selling for the quick cash, because there's billions of people who are millionaires and nobody knows who they are. I said, they were going to remember me in the state of Alabama.
Were you tempted in that moment to settle for the quick cash?
Nope. Money's a joke. And I certainly don't want their evil money. God will provide.
Right.
Because that's what happened to Bali one time in court. Let's put this one. This is an easy one, too. Bali was on trial. Well, a couple of Punjabis were on trial. But Bali spoke pretty good English. And the judge said to him, do you want me to put your witness on a stand? And Bali would say yes. I said, Bali. And I made sure nice and loud for the judge. Bali, I want of no man, God provides. I require you to place my witness on a stand, or I will do it for you. I want of no man. Because say, Mommy, I want a lollipop. Mommy could say no. Mommy could deny it. Mommy could say no lollipop. So do you want me to put the witness on the stand? No, I don't want you to do anything. I require of you, because I have authority and a right and power over you, to place my witness on the stand, or I will do your job for you.
Right. Okay.
So I made sure it was nice and loud. God, I said, I want of no man, God provides all.
Right.
So see, people don't understand. These people are very honorable people, these judges. They play it to the letter of the law. And like I said, my buddy, when he became a judge, he said, I can't go do barbecue with him on Thursday. I said, why not? He's got to go to judge school. Wow, that's right. You won the election. You're going to be a judge. How long does it take in judge school? He said, about 3 days. So you can win the election and be a judge. You can win and be 3 days. There's only a couple of words. They
in and out. Yeah, there's nothing to learn, really.
That's it. There's a couple of words to trick you guys to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Simple words. Like I said, my buddy did that in court down in Atlanta. If you've ever been to Cobb County at the Fulton County courtrooms down in Atlanta, there's 6 million people down there. That place is packed. 80% of them is Mexicans, because that's quick money through Mexicans. They see a Mexican, they know they're going to get $500 or $1,000 for no insurance. So they really pick on the Mexicans mercilessly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cruel what they do to these Mexicans down there. Hardworking, good people.
Yeah.
But anyway, the one guy brought a video camera, and he says, my buddy's going to go into court and says he's an idiot.
Yeah.
So he went, when his name was called, he went up to the judge and said, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So the judge said, so you're saying that you're an idiot? Yes, absolutely. So he said, I have no idea what these codes are. I didn't write the codes. The person who wrote the codes clearly is not in court today to testify that any of these codes are true.
Right.
And clearly you could tell I'm an idiot. So the judge said, so you're an idiot? Is that how you're going to play this? You're an idiot? He said, yeah, then get out of my courtroom. He's no, get out of the courthouse. And then when the guy left, and the guy with the video camera says, when the guy left the courthouse, the judge stood up and says, is there any more idiots in this courtroom? Just stand up now. Is there any more idiots? I said, I'm not putting up with any more idiots today. Is there any more idiots? I want to know. There's an idiot in my courtroom, and I want to know now.
Wow.
He says, and if you're an idiot, get out of here. So everybody just stood there, and what they did is they succumbed to the jurisdiction of the court.
Right.
Because they could just say, I'm an
Wow.
idiot. Yeah, see how simple
that's
that was?
funny.
It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So like I said, there's just like 10, 20 words, and like I said, I'm just trying to make I have this huge, ridiculous dictionary. So I'm trying to make little pamphlets of books that just fit in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Like 10 words, 20 words. So people can just read it while they're, on a crap or on work, on a bus. They can just read it real quick. Oh,
Yeah.
that's what they're doing to me.
It has practical application, yeah.
Right, I don't, right.
Have you written a book, like a full...
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, you have?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, and it's too much. So like I said, I'm making these little tiny booklets, and I think that's what the Border Patrol saw last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says, so you think you know the law? Yeah. So I'm sure he saw that and said, I'm not messing with this guy.
Right,
He probably perused through it real quick and said, no.
Now, Gus, you had mentioned that you'd learned a lot.
Yes.
From Carl's material. Have you learned things that you've been able to that have had practical application for you that you've been able to actually use? Or
One of the problems that I've had is I've not studied intensely, but studied enough stuff that you learn a lot of the wrong information.
Sure.
The Vatican owns everything. You got to do this, or it's the Illuminati, and it's really hard to unlearn stuff.
Sure.
And one of the things that first hit me is you make a claim. A complaint is when you get somebody nagging and that you're not mowing the lawn.
Sure.
That's a complaint. You're a complainer.
Well, the government can make a complaint. Well, the government can make a complaint. Only man can make a claim.
Only man can make a claim. And Carl and I were talking on the way back from New Brunswick yesterday, and one of the things he mentioned with, I do a lot of redress stuff.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I want to learn what you're doing. It's going to be way more effective. I'm really tired of this redress stuff. Nobody seems to be catching on.
Tell them what petition means.
Well, petition is to request of a higher authority.
Yeah.
Make
It's
supplications.
to a deity.
To a deity.
Right, so you petition God with prayer. So when you're saying petition the government with redress, what are you kidding me? Are you telling me that they're above me? Are you trying to tell me there's some sort of a deity? A petition the government with redress? Sir, I require you to execute your duty, and I require you to execute this order because you work for me. You work for my benefit. You exist only to serve me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But under Article 31, we've got the petition part at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it wraps up with as the public good may require.
May require.
As
may
of right
require.
and
See,
by
I
authority.
require of you. I don't may require of you.
So
I
it should be
require of you.
requires.
I require of you. You're going to do your job, and I mean now.
Yeah.
Well, I will have you replaced like a trustee, like if you're a beneficiary. You could have the trustee replaced on the trust. You're the public trust. You're a trustee. You execute, from the trust. I said we will replace you.
Yeah.
It shall happen.
Yeah.
Post haste.
People need to start realizing the authority that they have
Right.
as
Man.
men and
As a man.
as a woman.
No, man and woman. Right? No men.
No men.
Men.
To,
Because men is not plural for man. No, it's somebody outside of your society.
Yeah.
If you understand the difference between man and of those of mankind, it's not men. Men is not plural for man.
Okay.
So you got to be careful.
that's interesting.
Oh, beyond, because
It's all word
within your
games.
society,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
crossword puzzle. There's no points of being close on a crossword. You're doing crosswords with the court. You're crossing words.
Yeah.
There's no close. We'll give it. No, they won't give it to you. When they realize you're a man and you know what you're doing, you're confident and capable, stand behind your word, they will give it to you. Don't add a word, don't take a word.
Yeah. The words
They have
matter.
competency hearings to make sure that you're not an idiot.
Yeah, and I'm definitely
Yeah.
an idiot. I'm definitely
and when you
incompetent.
don't understand what that they're actually setting you up for the fall.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Because I don't understand them, I overstand them.
Yeah.
I stand above them.
Yeah, if you go into Black's Law Dictionary and you look up the word sweating,
Yeah.
sweating's illegal. Who ever thought of that? but sweating is when they take you downstairs at the police department and make you sweat it out without an attorney present and
Yes.
drill you with questions. But nobody knows that stuff. So you're listening
Right.
to these attorneys, these actors, talking in a language that you think you understand.
But
Yeah.
you're not of their society, and if you
You've got no idea.
So
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
what was going on in England. We were running a dual court. We were running a crown court. Well, crown is not the queen. Man, I went bananas in one of the seminars. Somebody I said, like when I started, it was like Bismillah for the Muslims, and then at the end I said, God save the queen. And they said, somebody said, F the queen. I took my shirt off, said, that's it. Who wants to? And another guy said, I said, the crown. I said, oh, you think the crown and the queen is the same? No, the crown is the legalese society. The 1 square mile in London is the judiciary. It's the Jewish side, is that side of the law. The queen is the land. The land is the inhabitants of a nation. The land is the people. You came from the land. Your mom ate of the land. Believe me, you don't believe me? Guess where you're going to go when you die? You're going to go right back to the land.
Right.
You are of the land. So the queen and the land are one. Especially, even this was in Canada, I found out too. I said when I went to Quebec, because I wasn't sure because it was bijudicial. I said, will the bank loan you money for land? And they said, no. I said, that's right, because the bank can't own people. But they can purchase real estate, but they can't own land.
Okay.
So the queen protects the people in the land. The banks can't own the land. Believe me, they want to own the land like you have no idea.
Right.
So when you people try to bring down the queen, she's just a symbol like a maple leaf or a bald eagle. She's just a figure that you people rally around when the bell rings.
Sure.
I said,
sure.
she's not controlling you. She always says, I work at the pleasure of the people. The people want me to leave, I'll go. You know, so can you imagine being 80 years old and still having to do this stuff? She's a hard-working old dame. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she is.
You know, so I'm sure she just want to go back to Germany and go eat a pizza and kick back, you know, but they require her to do it, and she's doing a wonderful duty.
Yeah.
So it calms them down when the Brits, I said, you know, when the Brits say, that's the difference between a crown and a queen and Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, you know, born April 21st, 1926. Yeah, the woman is not the crown. The crown is a legalese society. And they're tricking you people with just making you think the crown is this nice old lady.
Yeah.
The people. It is not the people. The people and the crown are not the same.
Carl, how's the crown tied to the Bar Association?
It is the Bar Association. It's a legalese society.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a judiciary. See, because what was funny is you watched throughout the centuries, empires were built around wherever the merchants, the money changers went. Whether it was Constantinople or whether it was Venice or whether it was Spain. So what was happening is, like, say, there was a king of England, and he decided that he was going to go to war, and the merchants, the money exchangers gave him funding, and he said, you know what, I lost the war, or you know what, I won the war. Guess what? I'm not going to compensate you. I'm not going to live up to my word. Oh, that was my daddy's war, and I'm not going to pay you. So then they'd say, hey, you know, that's not fair. We got a contract. We got a 2-dimension here. It's like, well, when you got a sword and come into the 3rd dimension, let us know. But until then, we're not paying you a dime. And if you give us any nonsense, we're going to tell the people here of our land, the King James Version Bible people, we're going to tell them, you killed Jesus, and see what's going to happen here. So they just, so they'd go to France someplace.
Yeah.
So then it would go to Germany and set up shop. So England has a contract, an agreement with the merchants, with the money exchanges, that they have this 1 square mile of England in the city of London. And even the Queen has to have permission to come in, and she surrenders her entourage when she gets to the city of London. There's a nice old passageway that she comes in and meets the mayor of London, and she says, I surrender to the mayor. And the mayor says, welcome, your highness, and what brings her in. So they have an agreement not to trespass upon each other's, you know, practices, customs, and beliefs.
Okay.
So when the crown gets you into their customs and practices and beliefs, you're under their rules, their codes, whatever. That's their common law.
The Bar Association.
The Bar Association.
Okay.
So you're going to get you're within their system. So like I said, when we did with Bali, I said I made a simple claim in one of Bali's cases, and the judge immediately jumped on the barrister. He says, you know, you have a you're required now by this man to take your claim before Queen's Bench. He says, you know, throughout British history, the Crown has never won in Queen's Bench. You do know this. He said, well, I'm going to need at least 6 months. I said, why 6 months? And the judge said, why 6 months? He says, well, I need to bring my witnesses, the officers. He says, you know, officers can't come before Queen's Bench. You know, only a man can. You do know this, sir.
It's common law.
Yeah.
Whether it's common law or not, what it is the rules of Queen's Bench. Man only could appear. So you're stripped of all your titles. You're stripped of all your all whatever ribbons and bows you got before the Queen.
Sure.
Because when I say to people, the King or Queen of England is up here. I don't care if you're the Grand Viceroy of all empire, da 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 da. You got all these ribbons, bows, bells. She's still a queen. She's still a king. He's still a king. And when you come before them, they could strip you of everything in a heartbeat and say, off with your head.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Well, I'm the Grand Viceroy. Look at all these ribbons and da-da-da. I've been here before you were born. Da-da. So you're still subordinate to me, pal. You're still a man. I strip you of everything, your rights, your titles, your land, everything, off with his head. So, yeah. So like I said, you stand before the queen or a king as a man.
Yeah.
And all this other silly stuff with how big your wig is, that's crown. Because that's how they determine who has a hierarchy in a court. Because when I beat didn't beat the guy. When Bali case was discharged, the Punjabi started to cheer. I got up and I said, stop, guys. And I said, this man put on a hell of a show. The crown put on a hell of a show. He acted respectfully. I said, he has feelings as well. I said, he has no idea what just happened because he's never lost. I said, I know this is, and he said to me when I went to shake his hand, I said, kid, you put up a hell of a fight. I said, I even doubted my stuff there for a little bit because you were shaking and throwing things. And I said, you put on a hell of a performance, kid.
Yeah.
I said, you didn't waste your money in law school. Your mama still loves you. And I went to shake his hand. It was funny. He went like this. He wouldn't shake my hand.
Oh, really?
It was funny. It was like there must be something he's not allowed to touch. Man.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm sure it wasn't like a disrespect to me. I'm sure he's told we can't cross into their dimension.
Gotcha.
We can't cause harm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So like I said, it was funny. He just said to me, "But I've never lost."
Yeah.
This is the first time. He said, "This was my court. This was my case." I said, "No, you missed it in the beginning. I brought my claim before the court, and you didn't say, oh, I object.
Right.
Can I have 14 days to answer the claim? You forgot the simple rule." I said, here's a claim before the court that we filed in Queens Bench on Thursday the 12th. Today's Friday the 13th, right, sir? You should have realized what I did yesterday. Ha. You forgot to object.
Yeah.
He said, is that what I did? Yes, and it's a common law land. If you were in France, I said, you would have kicked my ass. You're good.
Oh,
You're
that's
really good.
interesting, yeah.
You got the statutes, you got the codes, you got the precedent, you got the case. You are fantastic in France.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we're almost out of time. Carl, how do people get you said your radio show is Saturday nights?
Yeah, it's Saturday night. Yeah.
Is that, how do people find it?
Talkshoe.com and
Talkshoe.com?
Shoe, yeah. The guy, Ed Sullivan, really big shoe,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, really. For some reason, the guy made $1 billion on some software, and he just is just a fun little project he does called Talkshoe.com.
Okay.
And my call ID is 127-469, and if you Google me or you put me on YouTube as Carl Lentz with a K, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of videos of snippets of my show.
Okay.
So you'd have to listen. Some good man, Dennis in Eaton, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
He took my show and he broke it into little pieces. God bless him, because
cool.
I always wanted to do that, but I never have time.
Yeah,
His
it's time consuming.
Carol's shows typically run 4.5, 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dennis went and took categories, 3 minutes over here, 7 minutes there, and split it up into all the different categories, and they're all on YouTube.
Goes like the man
Fantastic.
who came to Texas to meet me. He beat the cops on the side of the road twice.
Yeah.
The one thing the cop said to him, he says, I said, there's plenty of styles. Let's do a funny one. I said to him, when a cop stops you, said, just ask him if that's an order. And a man up in New Brunswick said it worked for a pot kid. Kid got arrested for pot, and charges were dropped the next day.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the traffic ticket guy, Dennis. No, it was Jimmy Lynn down in Texas. He got stopped by a cop, and the cop said, right, license, registration. He said, is that an order? He said, absolutely. He gave it to him. He says, step out of the vehicle. Is that an order? Absolutely. There you go. He said, get to the back of the car so I can search your vehicle. Is that an order? Absolutely. He says, put your hands on my car. Is that an order? Absolutely. And he started laughing. The cop said, what's so funny? He says, because he says, he's all jacked up on call. He said, call, what's call? He said, some guy listening on the radio while I'm driving. He said, you're going to give me orders, and I'm just complying with your orders. He says, have I not complied with all the orders? He says, absolutely. He says, so you were ordered into the squad car by the shift commander. The shift commander was ordered to by the lieutenant. The lieutenant got his orders from the captain. The captain gets them from the commissioner. And when you guys carry out all the orders for the week, you put in your forms that you did your duty, and you're going to be compensated. When you leave today and I carried out all your orders, I'm going to hand you an invoice of everything that you ordered me to do, and I'm going to require you to compensate me on Friday as well. So the cop just took his paperwork and dropped it, said, get out of here, and Jimmy left. I said, Jimmy, why don't you say, is that an order for me to leave?
Right.
So like I said, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I'm going to hit YouTube tonight and check out your show, absolutely.
Okay.
Carl, this has been great. Gus, while you're here, do you want to plug the Redress website?
NHredress.org.
Okay.
And,
all right.
Let me do the Court of Record. That's my webpage that the U.S.
please.
Border Patrol looked at.
Yeah.
It's called Court of Record. .org.
Okay.
And it's funny, that's where you could contact me through the contact page.
Okay, fantastic.
There you go.
All right, Carl, thank you so much. Thank you, Gus.
Thanks for having us, Matt.
Absolutely. And if you're watching us live, of course, on Wednesday, you know the drill. I'll be back at 4 o'clock with Norm, and at 6 o'clock on Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Gary is still out, but Kurt Welper, I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, from New Hampshire Right to Life will be joining me later on that program. And, of course, don't forget, Thursday nights, the radio edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed on the Dr. Kevin Radio Network, drkevinradionetwork.com, or you can get there through IPMNation.com, which is on your screen. And that's going to do it for this week's television edition of Unleashed. Guys, thanks again so much, and rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior, and I'll talk at you all later. Bye-bye.